Welcome back, guys, to another episode of Kate and Isaiah Living Large. I'm Isaiah.
And I'm Kate.
And on this episode, we're going to talk about dating,
Not
marriage,
each other, though.
Not each other. Dating, marriage, and all the fun stuff that comes along with that as a bigger person. But before we do that, we're going to talk about life updates. I think it kind of goes in line with last week's episode where we're talking about backsliding, because I think we both kind of had a backslide this past week.
Yeah, I weighed myself last Friday and I was up, can't remember exactly how much, but it's 7 or 8 pounds, which, it never feels good. There are, of course, a variety of factors that factor into that, including my birthday. Did I mention it was my birthday a couple of weeks ago? I'll let that go soon, I promise, because I'm 40 now and mature. So,
Sure.
but getting and seeing the number on the scale after working so hard is never a good feeling. But, onward we go. How about you, Isaiah?
I also backslid. So I weighed myself on Monday. Monday is my usual weigh-in, and I apparently was having a fat day that day. I weighed back in at 310, which was not exciting. So then I was like, you know what? I'm going to weigh myself on Wednesday, like my last day of gym. And I was back down to 307. So, working my way back down. But yeah, definitely the celebrations over the last 2 weekends definitely did not help with that. But up and onward we go and getting back into it.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you still have to live your life, and there are going to be celebrations, and there are going to be St. Patrick's Days that roll around, and there are going to be occasions to celebrate. And I guess it's about finding how those don't necessarily have to center around food and the like, but these ones did a little bit. But I will say, after the weigh-in and feeling kind of crummy, but then participating in a workout immediately after where I did real push-ups and some really impressive things, whereas 2.5 months ago or 3 months ago, I could hardly walk. It's about the progress, and the chart may look like a whole bunch of little ups and downs, but as long as the trend line is down, then we're doing all right.
Yeah. And like, it's not always about specifically the weight. It also is about how you feel, right? Like, you can put on some weight, but as long as you're feeling good, feeling like being able to like eat, live, move,
Yeah.
that's kind of key, right? I mean, you're definitely gonna have those ups and downs, so don't focus on the weight all the time, right?
And that's what we keep telling ourselves. But at the same time, when you see the number and it crept just over 400 again, that was not a good feeling after dipping below that. And, I have to acknowledge that happened because I want to be accountable to myself mostly, but also to you and 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 those things. And it's important to talk about those things, but not to get so hung up on them that they end up being like, oh, I failed anyway, might as well eat a cake.
Yeah, that definitely you did. We talked about last week when we talked about backsliding. It's about getting back to it and getting on with it, and all that fun stuff. What else is going on in your life? Anything else new? Did you take on like another project?
I joined a choir, but I think I talked about that last week. And I'm playing in Shrek the Musical in the pit orchestra, playing trombone in a couple of weeks. So that's kind of exciting.
Yeah, is that KV doing that?
It's actually Hampton High
Hampton.
that's doing it.
Nice.
There's tons of great high school musicals out there, and I'm kind of a musical nerd. I was in them growing up and have played the trombone in many a musical, but there's a lot of good ones out in the high school. Like I know St. John High is doing Grease, and KV is doing Mamma Mia, which is an excellent show. I was assistant stage manager for the St. John Theatre Company production a few years ago, and it is just a fun show. But Shrek, the music is great. The trombone playing will be outstanding.
Will be on point. That's fun. Shrek, yeah. I did musicals when I was in high school too.
What were you in?
I was in Beauty and the Beast, and everyone put in the comments that I was the Beast because that's what they're gonna say. But I was not. And
were you Gaston?
Not even. No, I was some background person. I think I played a plate, and I was. What else did I do? One of the candlestick guys.
Nice.
And I did. What else did I do? Oh, Anything Goes was the other.
Oh, that's
that
a
was
good
really
one.
fun. Yeah, Anything Goes is a really good one. I'd never heard of it until we did it, and it's a really fun play.
That is a fun play. I was in Fame in high school, and I was in a play called Crazy for You that was all the music of the Gershwin brothers. So it was, I got rhythm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I've seen. I've never heard of the other one though.
And then they did Grease and Hello Dolly my first 2 years of high
Nice.
school. I didn't make the cut for those ones though. I was a stage crew girl.
Yeah, my first few years of high school, I was a guy. I was a jock. You don't do that. And then I took my inner, you know what? Screw it.
Maybe we should make a Kate and Isaiah musical.
Oh my god, that's fantastic. It'll be all trombone.
Yeah, I'll trombone. Living life as a trombone player.
Oh man.
Just sliding around. Oh my God.
With that, I think it's time to move to our topic, dating. So obviously, I have been married for 6 years, and we have been together for like, God, she's gonna kill me now. 13 years. So we've been together for a while, been dating for a while. So I am obviously not in the dating scene, but you tell me, how are the dating scenes when it comes to you?
Dating is not an easy thing. I don't think dating per se in 2023 is necessarily an easy thing for most people, especially as you age. For me, I've always been so insecure that I was always too shy to put myself out there. I'm like, oh, nobody's ever gonna like me. And so then, it was never something that I'd have crushes on guys, but I'd never tell them because that would be too much, because the rejection would just couldn't deal. So in today's world, we're in a world of online dating. And I mean, online dating has been around for a while, but it was kind of more of a taboo thing. If you did it, you never really talked about it. But now that's
It's,
like
if you don't
the
date
scene.
online, right?
And so what I find happens with me in the online dating world, and I think it's true of everyone, I'm not criticizing anyone for being like this because I'm like this when I'm doing it, is it's very fast. You're making snap judgments about that photo and what they say, however briefly, and you can determine compatibility. For me, it's an automatic nope if they're holding a fish in their picture.
So all of New Brunswick?
Yeah. Well, I don't know what that is. Like, I can't. All of these people are catching fish.
Yeah, I know, right? That is kind of the online joke, is that in every guy's dating profile, it is them holding a fish.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know that many guys that fish. Apparently, everyone's fishing without me. I don't know.
Maybe they're fishing in the dark, like that Nitty Gritty Dirt Band song. No, that's not what that means, is it? No, no. And so then conversely, when I think people are swiping past my picture, I don't think that's where I shine as a person. And if you're making a 10-second judgment about me, not you in particular, but if someone's making a 10-second judgment about me, they're not going to look at me and be like, wow, she's real hot. That because I'm not classically hot in the sense related to myself. That's just not who I am. Where I shine is my personality and my puns. Maybe that's also why I'm single.
So, in your profile, so I guess let's before we jump into that, I guess, what apps have you tried? Is there some that you find are better than others, or?
I have tried, like back in the day, I tried Plenty of Fish. That was not.
I've heard that's terrible.
Well,
all
it's
around.
become really terrible. It was the only game in town for a while.
Yeah.
Currently, I'm on Tinder and Bumble, and I go on and off Facebook dating. Atrocious. And it's not because of it's not because of necessarily the people, because most people that end up talking to, it's just I'm not interested most of the time. There have been a few that I've ended up chatting with, and I've met a couple of really nice people, and maybe even some that I'd consider dating, but it just never seems to go anywhere. And I don't know how much of that is me and my own insecurity. And because I have friends who end up in these situations and they just point blank, like, is this going somewhere? And I'm not the type to do that. And I don't know if it's insecurity or just like things will happen when they're supposed to happen.
Yeah, yeah, I can see that. So I know Tinder. Everyone knows what Tinder is, and I think Bumble's the one where you have to make the final, like, first contact, right?
Yeah, it is. But I find that around here, at least for me, there, there's very few matches at all. And then when there is one, it's very seldom that I actually have any interest in speaking to the person. And when I do and take that next step, then they don't answer back. There's been very few connections, but I do know from friends that the connections they have made that have turned into something like a date or a few dates or whatever have been through Bumble as opposed to the other
Okay.
ones.
On your profile, do you call out that you're bigger, or do you? What do you?
I make sure because I make sure to include a full size picture.
Yep.
Because I don't think it's fair to have an overly filtered headshot. Because it's one thing to not have somebody swipe on you. It's a whole other thing to have them be completely disillusioned when they meet you. Because you certainly don't want it to. I want to be honest about who I am.
Yeah. No, obviously, right?
And I'm a bigger girl. Like that is what it is. And if that's something that happens and that is okay with you, cool. You can, but I wouldn't want to surprise him because that in and of itself would be a form of catfishing, and that's not okay.
Yeah. Right.
And, if I put a picture of me from 10 years ago with just my face where I'm angled just right, and then they meet me and they're like,
That is not. You are not that person.
I'm not that person. I'm, 10 years older, have a different color hair, and am heavier. Like that's just, it wouldn't be fair. So I tend to try to be an honest person and want to be honest about that. And frankly, what's the point of going and meeting someone and liking them and having them not like you because they don't find you attractive?
Yeah. No. Agreed.
The other thing that happens though, which is kind of a creepy thing, is some people have like fat kinks.
I was actually just about to ask, do you have people that fetishize you because of your size?
And I don't like that either. Because I mean, you might as well be. It would be the same as being, a classically hot girl and having nobody interested in you for the things you think or say or do, but just the way you look. And I don't want that to be the thing that I don't even really love about myself. Like, yeah, I accept myself and all of those things, but
you don't want the person that you're with to only like you because of that.
Yeah, like of course it's nice to have somebody find you attractive and desirable.
Right.
But I don't want that to be like, oh, you look great today, like this, that, and the other thing, because it's just, I'm more, everybody's more than that.
Right. No, 100%. Right.
Now, how about you, Isaiah? Like, I know that you've been married a long time, you're not on the dating scene, but does Andrea, your lovely wife, express concerns about weight and things like that? Like, how does that play out in a marriage?
Sometimes. So, like, it's like walking up a hill and huffing and puffing and walking up a hill, and it's like, well, maybe you should go to the gym. But for the most part, it's a marriage, so we're very supportive of whatever you choose, and that kind of goes along with it. But yeah, there's definitely times where there's talk of concern of, and again, it's mostly walking upstairs, walking up hills and stuff when you're and that kind of thing. Sorry for breathing in everyone's ear. But that's typically the concern, and it's over time you just kind of gain weight and stuff, right? So you don't notice it in yourself, and sometimes your partner doesn't notice it in you either, because when you see each other every single day, it's just a gradual normal thing that you see each other, right?
Right. So, and I mean, I'm kind of putting you on the spot here, but and you're younger than I am, so maybe this hasn't happened yet, but have there been health concerns or anything? Because that's where, as I would imagine, as a married couple or as a spouse, I would feel more compelled, not that I would necessarily say anything, but I would feel concerned, not because of how you look or anything like that, but I would feel concerned about, like, okay, are you going to be around for a while?
Yeah, no. And I haven't had any true health concerns yet. I mean, I have asthma, so that's at a topper off thing kind of thing. Um, and I haven't had to deal with that in a long time, so that's always great. But yeah, obviously there's always a concern there, but I've never had any medical thing happen yet. Um, that I can remember.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been good. I've been good that way. Thank God or whoever for that. That's definitely a great thing, and that's partially why I'm like at this point, I'm in my 30s and I ain't getting any younger,
Oh,
and I gotta think about longevity in life itself because I want to be able to retire and actually enjoy life maybe whenever I can retire, which will probably be never anyway. But I want to be able to grow oldish.
yeah, no, and that it's important, and and it doesn't, ultimately you have to embark on these situations on these journeys. God, I hate that. Anyway, for yourself, otherwise it won't work. If you're doing it for your spouse or your mother or whoever, then it ultimately it's not going to work because, lots of people have opinions.
Yeah, you're gonna backslide, right? That'll happen, and then if you're not doing it for yourself, you're gonna end up right back where you started, right?
Right. And sometimes even if you are doing it for yourself, backsliding, as we've spoken about before, it's a real thing. And like, and I try not to think of it in too punishing of way. Like bad food, good food, it's all food. You're nourishing
Right, right.
yourself. Like, should you eat pizza every day? No. But should you eat all carrots all the time? No.
I mean, if you're a Ninja Turtle, you probably should eat pizza all the time. But I don't know any Ninja Turtles. If you are a Ninja Turtle, comment below or wherever.
I'm a Ninja Turtle.
You're a Ninja Turtle?
Yeah,
All
I'm
right.
Donatello.
Just Ninja Turtle.
Hello.
Listen, I love Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
If you aren't watching this on YouTube and you're just listening, I just pointed at my Ninja Turtle van that's behind us.
Yeah.
I might be a nerd.
As we determined from our analytics, most of you are watching us on YouTube.
So, rotating back, so we talked a little bit about people fetishizing you, and I think this will be a whole topic on its own someday. We'll have to talk about. But do you get people that are matching with you on dating apps or whatever that are specifically matching with you to make fun of you and bully you? Do you find any of that? I mean,
No, actually, there was one, and it was not related to my weight, who matched with me. I didn't, and I was on the fence about matching with him, but I matched with him, and then messaged me and was like, "You seem really great, but I really want kids, so this isn't gonna work." So it was like an age related thing, but
okay.
there was no reason for him to message me. Like he could have just unmatched with me or not matched at all, noticing my age at the time, which I think was 38, and realizing that, but he didn't need to take the time to write a message to point out that my eggs were drying up.
Yeah, excuse me, you are old and we're not going to.
So I at the time I screenshotted the message and I deleted his name because I wasn't out to publicly shame the guy. I don't even remember his name now. But and I did post it on like my Insta story, my Facebook story, because I was like, why did he take the time out of his day to make me feel bad?
Yeah, that's interesting. And I think the bullying topic is a whole other topic we'll bring up at some point in time.
Oh sure, because I've got lots of stories about it.
So I guess so. Dating's an interesting thing to me because again, when me and Andrea started dating, the internet dating was taboo, right?
Yeah.
Like 13 odd years ago, it was taboo. So when you first started online dating, what was the difference between then and now? Do you find it easier and better now than it was then? Do you find the people are more approachable now? What's
I find that that's a good question because it's all kind of changed so much. I can talk so my own for myself. I'm more confident now than I was 13 years ago, just as a person. And so I'm much more likely to just not be interested in people, because there's like just a lot of people, and not even that they're bad people. There's a lot of people that I'm just not interested in on the online dating apps, whether it's because of an age or just, based on a quick look, different interests, different, things. So I find that I'm much less likely to care whether or not somebody talks to me. Whereas before, I went through all of this effort to fill out your biographical information and find a photo, and computers didn't work as easily as phones do now. And in the 80s, in the 1800s,
In the 1800s.
so the technology is just so much simpler and so much faster. But what I do find now is that I'll chat. It's very rare that I actually take the step to meet someone, because it's a huge time commitment, and
And
I'd
as
rather
we know,
some
you have too many things on the go as it is.
well, I do have a lot on the go, and I've got a lot of great friends, and most of the time I'd rather spend time with some of my great friends than risk a bad date.
Yeah,
But then I'm
that's
like,
understandable.
am I going to be single forever? But then I'm like, oh, what do I do? Do I have to invest in that like a part-time job? And I was like, I don't want dating to become a job.
Just a whole spreadsheet of we can go out on this day, but I have to meet my friends on this day. So
Yeah, and as much as my life is kind of like a grid schedule, I kind of want some spontaneity, and maybe I want too much.
yeah, for sure. No, that's definitely you. You want way too much. Too much indeed.
Maybe somebody is just listening to this podcast being like, man, I've been in love with her forever.
I mean, yeah, maybe someone should take that leap.
Yeah, well, it depends on who. Just
Well,
joking.
as we discussed earlier, that big tie date is the real date.
Yeah. Well, we were just talking before the show started about how it would probably be easier to bring someone to meet my parents for the person, because it would be much lower key, and than it would be to bring someone to Big Tide, because there'd be like a whole raft of parental figures who are all younger than me for the most part.
Yeah, that's the true date. If you're on a date at Big Tide, that's the true date.
You're the ring better be soon to follow. I'm just joking. I kid.
So looping to dating, when it comes to dating, I find for me, hearing online and hearing people talk, it's a much bigger hookup scene now than there was, or at least more openly hookup scene than there was. So how does that factor into your dating and your app?
Well, I read something once, a meme or something that said, you should never shop when you're hungry. And you should look at the online dating apps in a similar way. And I'm going to let you fill in the analogy for yourself. And to each his own. For me, I don't think I have the brain power to only just meet somebody to hook up with them. And it's just not me, for a variety of reasons. It's just not me. And I, simply for that case, if that relationship has no hope of going anywhere and it's only that, I can't do it. I won't do it. It's just not who I am. If things don't pan out, that's fine. Like, I'm a grown up. I can, I can manage that. Yeah. But there's a difference between things not working out, but there was hope of it working out, and being something more than that, than making out or something.
Yeah.
That's where it would have to land for me. I haven't thought too hard about it, but when you flip through the dating sites, there's a lot of ethically non-monogamous, or need discreet because I'm married, just looking for a hookup, and I couldn't do that.
Yeah. No, and nothing against polyamory.
No, and that's 100% okay with polyamory. Got friends who are polyamorous, and that is totally awesome, and I feel like I'm super supportive of that. I just don't think it works for me. Right. And
again, that goes back to the each your own, right?
Whatever
you feel is most comfortable, right?
I'm super comfortable with it. It's
Yeah,
It,
no, 100%.
and maybe it could work for me. I don't know, but I don't think so.
Yeah.
But maybe with my schedule being like someone's half, that might be great. Just
No, that sounds pretty interesting.
yeah.
Polyamory. I don't have time.
Well, yeah, and this is the thing for me. It's like that's a lot of emotional investment.
That is a lot of emotional investment. True, true.
Yeah, and I barely have enough emotional investment for myself.
Me too.
I'm just joking. I'm very connected. It's fine.
I am not. Listen, I'll talk to my therapist and we'll be fine.
Yeah, I'm
That'll
gonna
be a
need
whole,
therapy after this.
that'll be a whole conversation itself too.
Yeah.
We're gonna have so many episodes, guys. It's gonna be great.
Yeah.
But I think, I'm always interested in the dating apps and what's new and what's happening with that size scene, because it's a scene I don't have any connection with, so I find it very interesting. And I think, again, going back to it, for the hookup scene, do you find that a lot of people are? I know you don't do the necessarily do the hookup scene, but do you find you get a lot of people reaching out to you trying to do the
Oh yeah.
hookup scene?
90% of the messages I get are that.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's always not disappointing. It never feels bad to feel attractive and be desired. Of course, that always, it makes you feel a little bit good to a point. But yeah, most of it's hookup, I would say. And often, and I'll go through and I'll delete it. I'll be like, this is never going to work. But I read a book one time. It was a little like flip book or something, and I took it out of the NBCC Woodstock library.
Okay.
And it was something about like how to find dates, and it was in 2010 or whatever when I found it. It was a relatively new book. I don't even know why it was there. I don't know how I came across it. Like, it wasn't something I was seeking out, but anyway, this book landed in my hands and I read it. And one of the lines that I remember taking away from like is, even if it's unlikely to work, you've got to put yourself out there on all avenues, or otherwise you might be cutting something off that could exist, even though, so online dating being one of those things, like nobody is going to find you if you're not out there, even if 95% of it is not working.
Yeah, 100%. You gotta shoot your shot when you can.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And I think that's a great spot to end this episode, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that's great. Shoot your shot, eat, move, live.
Eat, move, live. I like it. So, as we always do at the end, where can people find you?
They can find me on Facebook. I'm Caitlin Dean, and also on Kate and Isaiah Living Large, and also on TikTok at Fat Caitlin, and on Instagram as Caitlin Dean, and also on Twitter at the Caitlin Dean.
Nice.
And you, Isaiah?
At Maritime Brews on all of your social medias, and as I always say, no Snapchat. But yeah, I love this episode. It's great. I'm super excited for you guys to hear it. But until next time, bye.
See ya.